Hello, my name is Shayron Jarmon, and I'm a senior social work student here at Alvernia University, and today I will be presenting my comprehensive exam. Introduction. I've been at the Women's Center of Montgomery County for 2 consecutive months. The mission statement of the Women's Center of Montgomery County is, the Women's Center of Montgomery County is a volunteer community organization with a primary focus on freedom from domestic violence and other forms of abuse. Our programs, policies, and procedures reflect our strong commitment to empowering women. Location. We have 7 locations throughout Montgomery County. Abington Hospital, we have a social worker who works in the Abington Hospital with victims. We also have Pottstown office, a Bryn Mawr office, Lansdale, Holy Redeemer, and we also have the Norristown Courthouse. Within the Norristown Courthouse, we have a PFA office where victims can come to help to get assistance with filing PFAs. The provided services. We have a 24-hour toll-free hotline. We give assistance filing protections from abuse orders on site at the Norristown Courthouse. We have court accompanied to PFA, district court, and preliminary hearings. We have legal advocacy and options counseling, assistance with crime victim compensation and restitution filings, court orientation and instruction for victims on legal procedures. We also have individualized and support groups counseling. We give emergency cash assistance for victims who are escaping their abusers, assistance locating emergency shelter, affordable and or temporary housing, information and referral for crisis callers, and a host of other things. How to get involved. You can get involved with the Women's Center by becoming a member. The Women's Center of Montgomery County provides services to thousands of individuals each year. We are a vital link for women who are in crisis. Our programs can help improve the lives of women and children in the community. For $35, you can become a part of the solution. The membership dues go directly to fund these essential programs. In addition, with a membership, you will receive a monthly newsletter, reduced workshop fees, and various other benefits. Another way to get involved is through our thrift shop. Our thrift shop is staffed by a team of committed volunteers. It's called the Second Chance Shop and is located on Leadham Street in Jenkintown. The hours of operation are Monday through Saturday from 10 to 5. The thrift shop carries a wide array of women's, men's, and children's clothing. We have accessories for women such as shoes, jewelry, books, and household things. We rely on donations of gently used items from donors in our community. All proceeds from the thrift shop sales support our domestic violence services, which benefits victims of family violence. Another big way to get involved is to volunteer. The Women's Center of Montgomery County is one of the only volunteer-powered domestic violence program in the region. In addition to our 13-member staff, the Women's Center of Montgomery County has an active pool of more than 185 volunteers. Each week, our volunteers contribute more than 320 hours of service. The Women's Center requires that each volunteer contributes at least 52 hours of service per year and participates in at least 8 hours of in-service training on domestic violence and related issues. Engagement. This was a one-on-one counseling session with a middle-aged Caucasian female. The client seemed to be mentally and emotionally unstable. The purpose of the interaction was for the client's understanding of a protection from abuse order, assistance with custody, and just to have that one-on-one support. The skills that I used with this client was first active listening. I was attending to the client. Being attending indicated that I was aware of the client and that the client had my full undivided attention, which showed her that I cared. These methods that I used included eye contact, nods of my head, not moving around, not being distracted, encouraging verbalization, and mirroring body postures and language. Another skill that I used with this client was empathy. I paraphrased the content of the client's communication. I reflected the client's feelings and implicit messages. I was attending, which involved my own behaviors, which reflected to the client that she had my full attention. I was also supportive to the client. I used paraphrasing, which focused on the client's keywords and ideas. I communicated back to the client and rephrased in a shorter form. Another skill that I used with the client was note-taking. During our encounter, I let the client know that I would be jotting down notes for myself because this is the way in which I work. This is how I keep up with the session, and it's also how I write my notes later on. Critical thinking. Critical thinking. I was able to look at the client and her situation from an objective and neutral standpoint. I obtained as much data as possible from our one-on-one session, my notes, and observation of the client. This assisted me with bringing together a plan of action to help the client in my most effective manner without allowing my own biases or prejudices to interfere. Concreteness. I focus on facts and feelings of relevant concern of the client. I assisted the client to identify and work on a specific problem. I also use questions and suggestions to help the client clarify facts, terms, feelings, and goals. Assessment. The client currently lives in a hotel. She has a PFA against her ex-husband, which dated back from 8 years ago. She has a child who is 9 years old. The child is currently in custody of the client's ex-husband's ex-wife. The client hasn't seen her son since last summer. The client states that her son is being abused by his caregiver. I dug deeper into the situation to find out more. It seemed to me as if the client just wanted immediate custody of her son, that the son was protected in the care of her ex-husband's ex-wife. The client said that her ex-husband, ex-wife threatened her last year and she wants to file a PFA. This is why I made her understand what a PFA, what the rules and regulations of a PFA was. Mental health. I understood the client's mental health issues by listening to her. She told me that she has a doctor that comes out that gives her meds, who she hasn't seen in a while. I assessed the client on all levels. When it came to the micro level, I used one-on-one counseling, which is available through the hotline or any office whenever the victim feels she needs it. I also assessed the meso level. She was a part of a support group, and macro was the policies and things that she did when she went to court. The client's strengths was that she came to us for help when she needed it, and she was willing to receive the help. Planning. The main goal for the client is to get a PFA against the guardian of her son. She took actions by filing the PFA. Another goal is for her to secure housing. She has subsidy housing lined up for next month, so she said, but we gave her shelter options for the time being since she was living in the shelter. Another goal of hers was to get custody of her son. She hasn't had custody of her son in over 2 years. His guardian has full custody with no visitation rights granted to the client. The client is given numbers to lawyers to help her in regards to custody issues. We are not experienced in that section. Intervention. Self-efficacy. Self-efficacy. At the Women's Center, we are taught a motto. The motto is, the victim is the driver of his or her own bus. As a counselor, we can advise, but ultimately, the client makes his or her own decisions. Under self-efficacy, in order to succeed in changing, clients must believe they are capable of undertaking specific tasks and must have necessary skills and confidence. Also, to help clients identify how they have successfully coped with problems in the past, you can ask questions such as, how did you get from where you were to where you are now? And once you identify these strengths, you can help clients build on past success. In the article titled Self-Efficacy, Motivation, and Performance, Banderin stated differently. We might say that self-efficacy involves one's belief about accomplishing a task. Research shows that self-efficacy predicts such outcomes as cognitive skills learning, smoking cessation, pain tolerance, athletic performance, career choices, assertiveness, coping with feared events, recovery from heart attacks, and sales performance. Decisional balance exercises. The concept of exploring the pros and cons or benefits and disadvantages of a client situation. In an article, Prochaska Redden said, decisional balance is a measure of attitude that captures how individuals weigh the consequences of a specific behavior in terms of pros and cons. In terms of pros and cons. The client also attends support groups for previous abuse. The client says housing is in place, but she's looking for shelter. She was actually able to get on waiting lists for a few shelters. The client attended PFA courts for her son's guardian. However, she was declined the PFA. I let the client know prior to going to PFA court that it's up to the discretion of the judge, but I advised her that she probably would not get the PFA because of the situation in which she explained to me did not fit the rules of PFA regulations. The client is working on herself to eventually be able to see her son. Evaluation. The client did all in which she was told to do. She followed the process of the PFA throughout the end. Sometimes clients do not stay through the whole process. The process can be lengthy, but she stayed through the whole entirety of the process of the PFA. Custody is something that may come later on or not at all, but she is working on it with lawyers. I advise parenting classes for her. The support group seemed to help the client cope. Termination. The client attends support groups for previous abuse. The client says she has housing in place, but is currently looking for shelters. The client attended court for PFA hearing against her ex-husband's wife, and the client is working on possibly being able to see her son again. And that concludes my comprehensive exam. Thanks.